kasama. Ito po yung lingkod, Toti Casiño, sa isa na namang palatuntunan dito sa Toti Speaks. Andun po sa inyo ng Katipunan channel. At sa araw na ito, ang ating tatalakay po ay patungkol po sa Usapang Kuryente. Isa sa mga pangailangan ng ating pamahalaan, hindi lang ating pamahalaan, kundi ang buong bansa, ay itong kakayanan na magkaroon tayo ng tuluyang pag-aasa nitong kuryente. At dahil nga sa matinding pag-uunlad ng ibang mga bansa sa karatibayan natin, hindi lang dito sa rehiyon ng Southeast Asia, kundi sa buong daigdig, ang pangailangan po ng kuryente ay hindi nawawalan. Lalo-lalo na pag dumadami ang ating mga tao dito sa mundo, at maraming pangailangan itong mga tao dito sa mundo, maging yan ay mga gamitan sa ating pamamahay, sa kumpanya, sa negosyo, o ganoon din kalakalan at sa ating gawain, ang kuryente po ay hindi po nawawala. Pero ang tanong, nasa na ba ang kalagayan natin sa kuryente ngayon? At paano ngayon pa natin tutugunin ito ang pangailangan ng ating sa kuryente? At meron tayong pinahanda ditong isang pagsusuri sa ating nakaraan. Ito, makita niyo po ito. Next slide. Dito po makikita natin the share of the population of the Philippines with access to electricity. In the 1990s, mababa lang, nasa 60%. But now in the 21st century, in the 2016 onwards, we're already hitting over 80%. So nearly 10% of our population are the only ones limited with no electricity. Unlike 30 years ago, kukunti pa lang. Ang per capita na konsumo ng enerhiya, ito po yung enerhiya, hindi po sa kuryente ito. Ito po yung kasama na yung pagluluto, pagsasaing, at mga gamitan. Yung maliban sa kuryente, sa ilaw at tubig, sa ilaw at saka mga gamitan sa pamahay, ay pumapalo ng mga 5,000 kilowatts per hour itong taon ng 2019. Mula noong 1965, nasa pumapalo lang ng 2,000 kilowatt hour. So nakikita po natin dito na talagang sumasadsad pataas ang pangailangan ng tao sa gagamit ng kuryente dahil dumadami na, lalo na marami na tayong mga smartphone, mga laptop, at ganoon din sa ating mga gagamitan, sa ating pamamahay, pagluluto, kailangan natin itong pagkonsumo ng enerhiya. At gaano kadami ang pangailangan ng enerhiya sa buong bansa. Ngayong nung taong 1983, makikita po natin, nandun lang tayo sa 182 terawatts hertz, no? Hindi yan gigahertz, hindi yan megahertz, hindi po yung terawattage hertz, no? Pero ngayon, sa taong 2000, pumapalo na halos mahigit doble na for 500 terawattage na. Yung pangailangan ng enerhiya sa buong bansa kada taon. At tumataas pa lalo. Nakikita po dito, noong 1999, pumapalo ng 300. At ngayon, itong 2019, next slide, ay pumapalo na ng 562 terawatts. So makikita pa natin dito sa graph na to na tuloy-tuloy ang tumataas ang pangailangan ng enerhiya. Okay. Pero ang konsumo taon-taon, hindi naman saganang pumapalo mataas. Makita po dito sa graph na to, mula noong 1966, 1970, merong umaakyat, bumababa, at ito po yung bibigay ng kondisyon na mayroong panahon na tayo nagkakaroon ng mga brownout dahil nga minsan kasi panahon ng tag-init, dumadami pangailangan ng kuryente katulad sa air conditioning at meron sa panahon ng mga taglamig o tag-ulan, bumababa naman. So, ganyan po ang makikita nating itsura ng konsumo taon-taon sa pangailangan ng pangunahing konsumo ng enerhiya hanggang itong taon 2019. So, yung sa unang bahagi ng nakita niyo sa graph na to, makikita niyo malalayo ang agwat. Pero dumarating na ng pakonti-konti kasi nga ang ating pangailangan sa kuryente ay marami na. Hindi katulad doon sa mga unang panahon na ilan lang ang sources ng ating kuryente. Pero ngayon, mukhang tuluyan na tayo nagkakaroon ng kuryente. Hindi na tayo nagkakaroon ng matagal na brown out katulad ng mga nakaraang mga ilang dekada. Ito po ang nagpapakita po sa graph na to, ang konsumo ng bawat tao kada taon ng kuryente. Kuryente na to, hindi lang enerhiya, kundi kuryente. Noong 1986, ang bawat isang mamamayan ay kumukonsumo ng 376 kilowatt hour ng kuryente. At sumusunod na taon, noong mga 2019, mapalo na ng almost 679 kilowatt hour. So, halos 800 or 1,000 kilowatt hour na ang konsumo ng bawat mamamayan taon-taon ng kuryente. Ito, I think the figure here, if I'm not mistaken, is on a not on a yearly consumption, maybe on a monthly consumption, but that is, as you can see from this graphs, it is gradually going up. In terms of the entire country, how much electricity does the country consume each year? From 20 terawatt hour in the early 85 to now over almost 100 terawatt hour for every year ang kinukonsumo ng kuryente ng ating bansa. So maliwanag na talaga tumataas ang pangangailangan ng ating kuryente. Ito po, nagpapakita po dito yung graph na to kung ano ang halo-halo ng pagkukuhaan ng enerhiya. Meron pong galing sa ibang mga renewables na tinatawag natin. Meron din pong tinatawag natin sa mga wind or biofuels din. Meron din solar, may wind, may hydropower, meron nuclear, meron ding oil at meron ding coal, no? Yung biofuels o yung mga katulad ng biogas. So sa unang panahon, makita nyo na dito, in the early 60s or mid-60s to the 2000, next slide please. In the 1980s, halos karamihan po, about 128 terawatt hour out of 146 terawatt hour ay galing po sa langis in 1980. Yan po yung panahon na talaga pangailangan ng ating enerhiya ay galing lang po sa fossil fuel. Pero ibang pangailangan, mga paggagamitan, katulad yung mga other renewable, 6 terawatt hours lang compared to out of 146, zero sa mga biofuels, zero ang solar, zero ang wind, pero yung hydropower pumapalo ng 10 terawatt per hour, and zero sa nuclear, zero sa gas, zero sa 2 sa coal, 2 terawatt hour, and then oil is 128. So maliwanag po, noong 1980, halos 90% ang pangailangan natin ng enerhiya ay galing po sa mga oil na tinatawag natin or langis na galing sa ibang bansa. Pero itong 2019, bumaba na ang ating pangailangan sa langis at ito po ay karamihan na po nito. Ang 203 terawatt hour ay galing po sa coal or uling at ang 200 out of 556 terawatt hour. And then yung oil is only 253 terawatt hour out of 556. Ang hydropower po ay pumapalo po ng 24 terawatt hour. Ang gas ay pumapalo po ng 41 terawatt hour. Yung gas po, yung natural gas at tinutukoy dito. Ang wind po ay 3 terawatt hour, ang solar ay 3 terawatt hour, at yung other renewables ay 29 terawatt hour, ang biofuels 0 terawatt hour, at nuclear 0 terawatt hour. So dito nga nagpapakita na yung shares ng kuryente ng enerhiya sa buong bansa mula 1965 hanggang 2019, dahan-dahan nang bumababa ang gamit ng langis. Pero nakikita pa natin dito, tumataas po ang pagkakailangan dito sa coal at ang iba pang mga sources katulad ng hydropower, solar, wind, and nuclear. Ito yung pinapakita nila yung ganun din po itong mas klarong presentasyon to. Next slide. So, noong 1966, Oil was about 92%, hydropower was 7.1%, and the rest were 0% in early 1966. That was the share of energy consumption by source. So yung karamihan ng mga, yung contribution, karamihan po ay halos 90% galing po sa langis nila 1966. Next slide please. Pero in 1985, bumaba na po siya ng 66% from 90+%, and other sources went to 12%. Ang hydropower po ay pumalo po ng 11.5%. At ang coal po ay nagsisimula na noon sa 9.74%, samantalang solar, nuclear, wind, and gas were 0% in 1985. In 2019, bumaba na ang langis at 45%, whereas coal is up to 36.4%, gas is at 7.26%, other renewables at 5.19%, hydropower is down to 4.25%, solar is 0.9%, and the wind is 0.52%. Oh, sorry, solar is 0.59%, and wind is 0.52%, and nuclear is still 0%. In terms of hydroelectric power plants, marami po dito, ilan pa lang ang ating mga dams, no? At nasirisirat itong Kasikan Dam, maliban dito Kasikan Dam at Pantabangan Dam na naitatag noong panahon ni Pangulong Ramos hanggang kay Pangulong Gloria Arroyo. Lahat itong mga dam ay nandiyan na po naitatag na noong panahon nila Macapagal at nila Marcos, nila Garcia. Ito po ang mga iba-ibang klase mga hydropower, hydroelectric na makuha natin from the different dams. Yan po ang geothermal. Mapapansin nyo ang geothermal, marami. Next slide. Yan po, isa pa, dagdag pa nyo ito. Pero sige pa, next slide. So sa dami nito mga geothermal, kakaunti lang ang naambag pa rin yan. Maski madami pa rin geothermal power plant meron tayo dito, ay kakaunti lang ang naambag niya in terms of the shares. Punta po tayo sa wind power. Sa wind power at yung biomass, ilan din po ang mga planta meron tayo sa bansa. Ganoon dito ang mga biomass. Pero sa biomass, medyo mas nakakarami pa ng konti compared sa wind. At yung mga non-renewable, coal, medyo marami-rami na ngayon. Nagsimula yun ng mga late 90s hanggang 2000 or early 1990, doon na nagsimula ang coal. Onwards, dumadami na po ang coal. Pero ang diesel, mula noong 1967, 96, hanggang 1978, 79, yan po ang ating diesel. At ang natural gas ay nagsimula lang noong 1997, noong panahon po nila Pangulong Ramos at Pangulong Gloria Arroyo. Kaya ang nagkaisa-isang nuclear power plant, ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, ay natapos din pero hindi nagamit dahil nga kasagsagan ng EDSA Revolution. Pero ngayong balita na ang ating bansa ay hindi na magbubukas ng panibagong coal plant. Pero yung mga na-approve na dati, yun na nga matitirang patutuloy nyo ng gagawin. Dahil nga nakikita nila na ang coal plant ay hindi maigi para sa ating kalusugan. And the Philippine considers a power sector future without new coal. As what you can see in the diagram, mga wind power pero kakaunti pa lang ang nagagamit nito. Ito po ang konsumo ng ating kuryente, demand sa mga pangailangan natin. Ayon dito sa Department of Energy, ang peak demand po natin is at 14,000 megawatt na papangailangan. No? Next slide. At ang kabuuan nito, yung 14 megawatt, ang naka-install po dito ay meron tayong 23,000 megawatt na maasahan ng mga 21 dito at available po ang 16 megawatt. Kaya nga doon sa annual consumption natin, nakakayanan natin itapat ang pangailangan. And the electric sales and consumption is 99.765 at yung new operational installed capacity is 934 megawatts. And we have a committed capacity of 6,329 para itapat yung demand and a gross generation of 99.765. And in terms of consumption, ang pinakamalaki po talaga ang dito sa isla ng Luzon. Sumusunod, malayo ang Visayas and Mindanao, mapalo ng mga 2,000 megawatt kumpara sa mga 12,000 to 16,000 dito sa Luzon. Ganun din po sa Mindanao, pumapalo lang mahigit kumulang ng 1,000 plus megawatt. So ngayon, anong usapin natin? Ito, paano pa natin ganyan? Yan ang ating istruktura. Makakasama po natin ngayong gabing, itong araw na to, isa sa mga inyero na tumutulak na itong isang klaseng teknolohiya at tinatawag niyan thermal source of energy. Ano po ang thermal? Ano po kaibahan nito sa geothermal? At siya po ang nakapagbuo nito at meron po sarili niyang patent na pinasara niya sa Estados Unidos. Walang iba kundi si Engineer Harry FREIRES. Magandang araw po, Engineer.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Po ay natutuwa at ma-share po natin sa ating bayan at sa buong mundo itong technology na dinesign ko po na magiging fuel of the future. So,
So, para sa kapara nating ano kaiba ng geothermal sa thermal na natin?
Pag sinabi po nating thermal, ito po ang produce ng energy through combustion. Either fossil fuel is thermal, coal is thermal, the LPG or the gas are thermal, and the geothermal is not by combustion. It is just, the pressure of the steam from underground.
From the underground. Okay.
Hindi po siya thermal.
Okay, ngayon, ito yung sa inyong thermal na tinutulak, maliban na nagagawa siya from different source of minerals or raw material. Ano naman ang pinapanggalingan nito?
Ito po naman na dinesign ko pong makina, dinesign ko po yan in 1998. Nung subcontractor po ako sa Aramco, na nalaman ko po na low level na ang lahat ng wells doon, hindi na maabot ng 1 kilometer submersible pump. So dinesign ko po itong aking makina given na ang kapalit ng fossil fuel. Since as a chemical engineer, the one that is the source of energy in fossil fuel is hydrogen. No? It is hydrocarbon, and it so happened that I am in the area of water, and we have hydrogen in water.
H2O.
H2O.
Hydrogen oxide. No?
Okay. Initially, I was researching on the deuterium, pero mamahal ang gasolina.
Which is also water.
Deuterium is the one isotope of hydrogen. We have protium, deuterium, and then tritium radioactive. So, mamahal ang gasolina kung deuterium, so I shifted now to protium.
Bakit mapapamahal ang gasolina kung deuterium?
Kung deuterium kasi, you have to liquefy the hydrogen from the Philippine deep. The biggest source of deuterium, heavy water, is our Philippine deep in Surigao.
Yes.
To get it is a cost. And then you clean the seawater is another cost, reverse osmosis. And then you split it is another cost. And then you
the extraction,
and then you liquefy another source. And the problem with deuterium, once you store it in a liquefied form, you cannot prevent the leak. It's dangerous because it's the smallest atom in the universe. LPG, which is of higher molecule, is leaking. How much more hydrogen, which is the smallest atom? So I shifted now to protium, wherein you do not need to store it. You only produce when needed.
What is protium then?
Protium is the smallest atom of the hydrogen. Hydrogen.
And then where would you get the protium?
From ordinary water, from our wastewater. We just get
even wastewater.
Yes, wastewater. You will remove the. I'm the one who made in the whole Philippines wastewater into a potable water. Okay, so I call it the Enviro 100 and Enviro 200.
So yung tubig baha po, pwedeng
gamitin or any water.
Any water, any source of
water, yes.
Okay, so how will you be able to, what processes, you mentioned earlier, deuterium goes about 3 processes. Yung extraction niya, you pull it out, and then you liquefy it, and then...
No, you clean it first. Because we have 40,000 TDS of seawater. You have to clean it.
Okay.
Reverse osmosis, and then you split it, another cost,
yes.
And then you liquefy it.
Now, with this...
with this one, no need to...
how do you call it?
This is, the name of my machine is Infinite Philippine Protium Self-Splitting Machine and Power Generator, IPPS-MPG.
Paano na?
But a very important term there is it's an infinite fuel.
Bakit po infinite?
Infinite because when you split the water, H2O into H2 saka O2, and then you use the H2 to burn in the combustion chamber.
The hydrogen.
The product is H2O steam. You condense it becomes liquid again, you chemically treat it, and you split again, burn, condense. Umiikot lang, may kuryente ka.
Okay.
We solve poverty by this.
Okay. And have you able developed the prototype of this in when you were there?
No, I just conceptualize design it, but I have not prototype it.
But when you were there in Aramco, you said you studied this. Were
Yes.
you able to submit this to the...
No, I'm just my personal advocacy, my
I see.
personal passion that I developed the replacement for the fossil fuel.
We gathered that you already submit this for patent in the US, is that correct?
I have submitted the patent. My doctor friend, Jerry Katapang, Harry give me the technical about all these things. So I gave him the technical, and then he's the one who spent everything. And then after a month or so, the patent came to me.
So it's already patented.
It's patented in Enviro.
The
Non-biological
Under what category does it fall under?
it is falling under Enviro 300 and Enviro 400.
So it's not considered as a source for energy or fuel yet. It is just
Just a concept.
it's just a concept.
No, I have not prototyped it because some people, foreigner, keep staying in my house and watching me. It's good I have not prototyped.
Okay, what would it take for that to be extracted, the hydrogen from dirty water or clean water, and then you convert, and then with extracted gas, which is hydrogen,
Hydrogen gas, yeah.
and then you still have to extract it further to make it protium? Is that how it's?
No, it's already protein.
It's already protium.
Even if it is deuterium, we don't care about liquefying it. So,
So it's already in a hydrogen form.
gas, yeah.
Okay, and then
we use it as fuel.
you can use the fuel. Then you inject that fuel into
The combustion chamber of the boiler.
whatever combustion.
Whatever,
combustion.
yeah.
So the technology that you have is just the extraction. That sounds very simple. But
It's very simple.
I remember.
But the process is very complex.
Ah,
The Western country cannot do that.
because to separate, let's say for example, water, hydrogen from water, which is H2O, it has to undergo electrolysis. Correct me if I'm wrong, no? And then the electrolysis requires something like 2,000 Fahrenheit, 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit to do that extraction. I don't know if that's correct.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, well, then what is the correct? How do you split the
just
hydrogen from the oxygen?
Put the DC current, it splits.
The DC
And the proper
current.
chemistry, the dissolved solids for the electricity to pass
Okay.
through.
Have you gone to the extent of measuring how much power can hydrogen provide? Like, for example, the Bataan nuclear power plant, the capacity, the reactor there was able to produce like 650 megawatt.
Yeah.
And you did a study that you're recommending to the president to convert that plant into a thermal nuclear plant. Will it also produce the same power source,
Yes, and
650?
even more than that.
How can we? In what way can we say that you can convert? Is that dependent on the reactor or is that dependent on the source of the
Let's say
energy?
we have a 1 unit of splitter, we have a 2 unit of splitter, 3 unit. We could have
Okay.
hundreds of splitter, even mega,
Terawatt hours.
Yes.
Yeah, terawatt hours.
Yes.
No? Kasi nga, yung pag-intindi namin dito, yung maliit na uranium or ngayon nga meron sila tatawag na thorium as a raw material for nuclear reactors, no? With a small unit of that is enough to combust into something as big as from so many megawatts to hundreds of megawatts, right? Now, what volume are we talking here that can extract? Kasi water is, although it's also limited because we depend on the rain, no? Among other things. Does it consume much more water? Would there be a water shortage if we use this technology? Or it's just enough, getting where I'm coming from, it's just enough atom of that can already combust into a highly powered.
Yes, you use thorium or uranium, let's say you use 1 gram.
Yeah, 1 gram, okay.
Hydrogen, because it is just rotating, you use almost 0.
So recyclable.
Recyclable, you condense it.
Kaya
you
nasa
split.
infinite.
Oh,
You will not be able to consume that hydrogen gas. It will not.
if we have losses, 1%,
I see. So what happens? So it burns into the combustion.
burn, it become water again. And then you
Yeah.
condense it.
You condense it and then it's back.
And then you split again.
Recyclable.
Oh,
Okay,
going
okay.
around, you have electricity.
Okay, that sounds
Now,
logical.
when I lecture it to one company here for almost 1 year, first is they told me that Harry, in Europe, they don't they back out, okay, from this because there are 2 things. You consume the drinking water. No,
Yeah.
that's already,
That is the argument against it. Kasi
Against it.
you're
And the other
consuming
one,
drinking water, right?
The cost of electrolysis,
Correct.
splitting it is
That's
60%.
That's another argument.
Now,
Correct.
the design that I made is that you produce hydrogen and oxygen gas before you use the hydrogen and the oxygen. It is passed through a certain part of the machine that it produces a DC current. Okay? Once it is producing a DC current, you remove the external source and the machine splits itself. So that the 2 problem by the European has been solved. There is no consumption of drinking water and the machine splits itself.
Okay.
That's a Filipino design.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. And were you able to submit this paper to any science community, academic community elsewhere in the world?
I submitted in general, but this technology, which is I developed after 1 year of lecturing to all the power engineers of one company, these 2 things I solved later, which is after I submitted already my patent.
I see. Because I'm sure it will go to some kind of panel review by some scientists or engineers to test whether this is really feasible or not, to test whether the viability of this concept as a theory will work or not, because you have to explain the extraction, the filtering, and the splitting if there's any, and then do you need a special type of combustion engine so that it can just absorb the gas that will be able to emit the power, etc.
Absorb the gas, but what the metallurgy of the combustion chamber, wherein you put the hydrogen flame, is another factor that you have to decide. It should resist the high temperature of hydrogen flame and its corrosivity. So you design the metallurgy of the combustion chamber.
All right. Okay, good that you mentioned that, Engineer FREIRES, because one thing that the public knows is hydrogen is also weapons grade. The one that practically annihilated Nagasaki.
You're referring to fusion.
Right. Hydrogen bomb. Is there the risk that it would be combustible and create some kind of explosion? When now that you mentioned it has to have some kind of metal, no, that will be able to secure it. Would that be able to protect it from combusting into an explosion? Because when you deal with hydrogen is a highly combustible gas, right? And as such, it can also be destructive. It can also be explosive, right? Now, how can you assure the public that this can also be safe? In what process, in what methodology,
Yes, this is
in what
part of the 34 price variable I have to control automatically. I
34
34 price variable. It is a complex process.
Okay, how do you mean by 34, 35 process variable?
There are many chemistry I have to control automatically to stabilize the process. Okay, and the temperature of hydrogen flame is about 2,500 degrees centigrade.
Again, the temperature of the
hydrogen flame. It is
Okay.
very highly and you have to reduce it. Okay, you have to reduce it to about 400 to 600 degrees centigrade. So we have to dilute you only use a small amount of hydrogen and you use it dilute it with the air and water to reduce the temperature. So it becomes less risky.
Were you able to test this on some scale before or wherever?
No, I'm a designer. I am designing and build chemical engineer. I design industrial plant.
I see.
I will not talk about this if I am not sure.
Right. So you have not yet built it yet,
Yes.
but you have only just done pencil pushing, if I
Yes.
would put that term, no? And then you were able to base all these issues, or if I may use the term, all these concerns from existing studies, right?
Yes.
And then you able to counter all of those objections by coming up with a 35 or 34 processes.
It will be 40. So process variables, you have to control automatically. There's a lot of instrumentation here. Chemical.
Okay, is that subjected to some kind of formula, mathematical formula as well?
Yes.
Ah.
Once I design it, let's say somebody is, sorry, even a British royalty offered to me. I want, don't want any foreigner to invest here. I want a Filipino to invest here. And then Tiburcio is coming in. So I want a Filipino, and I want the whole world to know that this is a Philippine invention. It will be the future of the
We tend to. I personally tend to believe that is the
I,
case. But the thing is,
the cars, I do not expect the cars to be run on water. All cars must be electric. But when you charge the car on your electricity, 1 peso per day, then the source of power of fuel for power plant only, but not for the car.
Now, in this type of plant that you would have, I don't know what you want to call it, a thermal plant or something, or thermal source plant, no? Would you have to require that in every island or every
Yes.
county to have one?
And I want it to be owned by cooperatives of the consumer, not by the oligarch here.
Okay, that's we are one with that because the Katipunan Democratic Philippines are against the oligarchs
Yes.
itself. No, it's going to be owned.
It will be owned by the consumer.
Right.
And
Now,
I expect an electricity per family is 100 pesos per month per family.
how much?
100 pesos. If we had that one aircon, 200 pesos per month per family.
You saw in the introduction,
Oh.
engineer, no, the increasing in demand, as I presented to you earlier, right? The
We can
increasing demand.
deal with that.
Yeah. I
With this.
understand that, but you see, of course, we have to go with the system. We have to go with the transfer of the energy, electricity through the grid, right? It's inevitable, or the distribution.
Yes.
So yours will be the producer, right?
Yes.
The production. Now, one thing that the people would benefit from this, you create that, it will be owned by the people,
Yes.
not by the oligarchs,
Yes.
and it will be shared among each other. And then, what type of investment or how much are we looking here so that the people can really afford to put that up?
The prototyping of the power plant that is based on this with only 34 price variable is 380 pesos.
300 million. And what type of energy or size of power would that emit? Are we talking about hundreds of megawatts, or
it will be kilowatts, maybe 100 kilowatt like that.
isn't that kind of?
It's only a research prototyping.
Yeah, I know, but I understand. 300 million to 100 kilowatt. Would that be a bit too expensive? That they just
Yes, because it is research work. We have to determine all the variables. We have to calibrate the system,
I
and we
see.
determine all the optimum variables. It's research work.
Okay. Granted, okay. Only for the research, we're talking about 300 million pesos to produce a few 380 million to produce so many kilowatt hour per
Yes,
household.
only.
All right. Now, once you already produce this, in terms of production, how do you foresee that in terms of, I don't know if you're already that far thinking, so that you can already replicate that in all over the counties, in all over the communities and provinces all over the country.
Wait, my thinking is that once I prototype it, I will show it to Digong or to our president that we have here a source of energy that is an infinite energy. And my target is the Bataan nuclear power plant. We have to convert that to this. Before anything else, it's not for money.
Yeah, I
This
understand.
is, I want the Bataan nuclear plant, wherein I was a process chemist before, okay, to be converted into this kind of source of energy. And then the whole world will, it will be a shock to the whole world.
Why use the Bataan nuclear farm? Because the structure is there.
Yes, the structure is there. My passion is to run the Bataan nuclear plant, but not nuclear, but thermal, and to have an impact throughout the world. So we export this, and we become a first world country.
Yeah, but the structure of the Bataan nuclear power plant was configured for a nuclear reactor. Now the question is, your thermal reactor, would it has to be designed like a nuclear reactor, or can it be designed in
It's
such
very
a
simple. Even you can do that. The only source of heat for a nuclear plant is in the containment building, is the reactor. We will remove the reactor, and then the source of heat will be outside, maybe about 20, 30, or 40, and we will design it as the source of heat.
So
it is just recirculating.
similar to a nuclear reactor, it has to have a containment. Unlike diesel or unlike coal, which is they have those stacks, right? That process the raw material and then converting that into energy, right? And it is housed into some kind of like a factory, correct? That's what.
Storage.
So well, it does not have that containment, unlike a nuclear reactor.
Yes.
So is it safe for me to say that to contain the energy produced by your thermal would require similar to a nuclear reactor?
The equivalent, the replacement of the nuclear reactor is a boiler heater plant outside.
And then we can even do it outside the Bataan nuclear.
Yes.
But Bataan nuclear power plant, it need not be exactly on the Bataan, although you're just pushing that for your own advocacy with Digo. Pero in terms of to counter the objections from whoever, right? Different camps. And then let's say, can this go on a standalone, whether it's running on a Bataan nuclear power plant or not? Can it goes on a standalone? And then with a standalone, in what configuration does it have to be? Is it shaped like a, because as of now it's not existing.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right now we don't even know how the animal looks like. I mean, is it shaped like a dome? Is it shaped like a funnel, or is it shaped like with stacks of chimneys?
Yeah, I'll give you my idea at this point in time. But
how will it look?
We have a simple plan, okay? But the one that will condense, that will liquefy the product of combustion, water,
Okay.
would be okay. This
I'm just following. I'm following you, but I'm not a chemist, but I'm trying to follow what you're saying.
We have water, and then we have to condense it. This is just my idea. All in the community, the piping will be there. Okay, they could put there, they could put coffee, etc., and it becomes water. Goes back here.
Okay. I have seen on water.org, all right, a concept where they were able to gather even flood water, and in there have so many, I don't know what you call that, like a pond, circular shape, about 6 of them, and then they're just going on rotary motion, and then somehow they were able to clean it up, right, to extract the soil or the dirt that they went with that flood water, and to come up with clean water. And at the same time, they're able to capture some kind of gas, methane, I don't know, if it's also mixed with dirty water, and use that methane to pump up energy. Is that the kind of configuration we're looking at, where you have, not really cylinders, but I would imagine, I would call it ponds, circular ponds in a symmetrical diagram, about 6 of them, going from one to another, going to another, to another, to another, and until that's already filtered, as you were saying. But in this manner, it's just cleaning up the water so that you purify at the end, and then there's also the captured waste to convert that waste into some kind of methane gas, and use that methane gas to power up some kind of source of energy.
That's a different design.
Different design.
I respect that one.
Sorry?
I respect that one. Any design I respect.
Okay. So how would we see, if let's say from your source, because you said earlier that even dirty water, it can be used to clean it up, no? Which is very very encouraging, and also like tribe water. So I'm imagining
wastewater.
I'm imagining, yes, it has to go through some kind of filtering process. So you have series, as you said, 34 process, maybe up to 40 process. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm seeing it that, and then designing it so much so that by the time you get to the end result at the end process, then you already have that primary source where you're now able to inject to this combustion engine and convert that into energy, whatever that source may be. Of course, you also require some kind of a different type of metal to contain it. The metallurgy. So that it need not burst or something, that it will not corrode or etc.
Yeah,
it's a long process. All right. Would there be anything else that you would like to? So somehow that's how we're
it's a concept.
the concept. All right. Okay. would there be anything else that we need to know? I mean, the public should know. Has this been to the Department of Science and Technology? Has this been to the Department of Energy?
No.
Why not?
The only I gave this verbally to my friend, the Secretary of the OST, and I told
Boy
him
de la Peña.
De La Peña is our honorary director
Yeah.
in the OIMAP, Original Equipment Manufacturing Association of the Philippines. And then I was a president before the Industrial Link of TESTA. So we went to Neri's house and then we were talking, Harry, we cannot afford even 100 million, we cannot afford.
That's what they said.
So what can we do? So there are now a group and there are rich Filipino who is approaching me.
Yeah.
And they are making decision maybe by January.
Very good.
To finances.
Yeah. Well, we wish to see, wish you luck, sir. And probably, if we like, are there any comments from our viewers that you would probably
Any question?
share to you? Okay, here are some of the comments that we got from our viewers.
Okay.
From Reggie Malaloy on Abilito, good evening po, Sir Toti, Sir Harry. You have a new fan. From Lourdes Cup, ang masaklap ay basta-basta na lang namumutol lalo na sa Eastern Summer sa amin, yung kuryente. No? Pag na-delay ka lang ng isang araw, puputulan ka kaagad.
Ito sila may-ari, consumer to.
Consumer to. Hindi yan nasusunod. Ang Artikulo 19 na yan nasa batas at ayun na yung article, we're saying yung Article 12 to take over na nga eh. And then Section 17 to 19 to the government to take it over.
Can I insert a bit on this?
Sige, go ahead.
Because the power plant for each, let's say, federal state will be owned by all of you, by the consumer. And if it is supplying an industrial plant, etc., it earns, it profits, and the profit goes back to the consumer.
Correct. Brown out without saying or no saying, no? Okay lang sa kanila, patay sindi ang kuryente, dapat yan ireklamo ng buong Eastern Summer. Sobra na ang pag-abuso ng mga sa mga nagmamahala doon sa amin. Naawa ko sa tatay ko. From France, totoo nga yan, ganyan nangyayari sa atin sa mga kababayan natin. From France, Ayalid, good evening, Sir Toti, kay Kahari, at sa mga subscribers. Nanood, Sir, done sharing. Thank you, France. And from Eric Bautista, they're watching. Okay, yan po yung mga ilan sa mga sumusubaybay sa programa na, and I'm sure mapapanood din nila ito in the days because we are also broadcast on YouTube. And then after that, for the future, there'll be people who's gonna be. Would you have any last remarks and to our viewers and any way they can contact you?
So, shall I give my telephone number?
Well, even if your email address
So
or your
if
website.
any further detailed or technical question, you can contact me at my cell phone.
Or email address, would you, if you don't mind.
My cell phone first is 0906 233 8486. I repeat, 0906 233 8486. In my email is harryfreires@yahoo.com.ph.
Okay.
Yahoo.
All right, and your last words to our viewers.
So last word, our fuel. I am passionate about this development of the replacement of the fossil fuel, and my objective here is to prototype it, to be seen by our political leaders, and then to convert the Bataan nuclear plant into this form of energy, and then we will have an impact throughout the world. And I want the Philippines to be a first world country.
Okay.
And to solve poverty.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Ito pa, may pahabol po from Paolo Antonio Pineda. Katoti, ano po ba ang petrochemical at alcogas industry? Kapag sumali ito sa pagpabubukas ng BNPP or Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, sa opinion nyo, ano ba ang nangyari sa Pilipinas pag-explain lang ng petrochemical industry? Well, would you like to answer that?
To tell you frankly, when I was in Aramco in 1998, there is no more petroleum. Low level na po lahat sa Jubail ang mga oil wells. And they are injecting seawater from the Persian Gulf para may lumutang pa.
Right.
Ngayon, pinapump out nila ngayon yung oil, may kahalo ng tubig. Kaya lockdown. Kasi yung value ng dollar is based on the petroleum fuel. Now here, from that concept in 1998, I developed this design, okay, as a replacement of fuel of fossil fuel.
Mhm.
So, yun po ang duty ko,
Right.
is my moral duty as a chemical engineer. If we have a global problem, is try to define the problem and solve it.
Okay, in response to that, again, his name, ano pangalan niya? Paulo, no? According to the explanation of Harry, yung sa Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, like he's been advocating to convert that from a nuclear power reactor into a thermal reactor, no? Using hydrogen as export. And our position, the official position of Katipunan Demokratiko Pilipino, is to maintain it as a nuclear power reactor, as there are already new technologies in nuclear reactor. In fact, in Slovenia, the same sister plant that has been built together with the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is still existing. From a 650 megawatt, another power plant similar size. Go Google it, you can find the picture. You can see na magkamukha sila, magkahawig na magkahawig, yung Bataan Nuclear Power Plant sa Slovenia. And it's been running for 50 years about, and extending for another 25 years.
Can I state something about that?
Yeah.
If we run the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant as thermal,
Mhm.
sasabog yan. I'm 100% nasasabog because I know all the defects and the human error in the installation and what has been done in that plant.
Right. As you may say that, we also have found out report from Fidel Korea, not saying that it will explode. So leave that as it may. We're not here to have a debate on that. And we're saying that if you can show that other paper, pakita mo isang paper na padala ko, done by a certain who was the managing director of the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, unfortunately already passed away 2 years ago. And he did his report, you just Google search na lang Fidel Korea, Correa, and then put the word Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, and then you can see a paper report that he submitted in 1989, and saying that, a paper presented to the Radius Isotope Society of the Philippines on February 28, 1989, roll up, presented by Fidel S. Correa, Manager of Operations. Scroll up, please. So, sinabi niya dito yung status ng Bataan, the Philippine Nuclear Power Plant. So, the plant construction was already 98% complete, and pre-operation testing has been completed. The plant had been in a stable readiness for fuel loading when it was scheduled for short-term preservation while awaiting license to load the core in the third quarter of 1995. The most urgent concern of the Philippine National Power Plant 1, which is the BNPP, was to avoid corrosion of carbon steel components which had already been filled with water, at least become wet during the pressure or functional test. Stainless steel or plated steel items have been proven to be corrosion resistant as long as their environment use free of chlorine. I cannot read that. The short-term plant layout program then was implemented with the objective of fixing the plant in the core load readiness, at the same time ensure that the preservation activities are satisfactory. Operators and support personnel training are enhanced and operating procedure verified for the adequacy. During the short-term plant layup period, 17 systems were placed under the wet layup mode of preservation, 59 major components under the dry Leon mode of preservation, and 46 systems. So I'm not going to go into the details of that. You can already.
Can I comment on this?
Well, I'm not here to argue, Harry.
I will just say one fact.
Okay.
Okay, you should mention stainless steel is not gold. Stainless steel is susceptible to corrosion. In fact, when the steam generator, the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, was delivered from the US to Bataan, it is submerged. The heat exchanger tubes are submerged by oxidizing solution, so that the oxygen from the air will not react with the metal. It is submerged. But there was a time that it was drained. The protective corrosion protection solution of the steam generator was drained for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the moist steels were exposed to a 20% oxygen in the air.
Yeah, but what happened to Slovenia?
Huh?
What happened to Slovenia?
I don't know to Slovenia.
No. Slovenia has exactly the same configuration as what we have in Bataan.
Yes, but that did not happen to him.
No. What I'm saying is, the configuration that you have in Slovenia is exactly the same as in Bataan. And if the same situation has happened there, why is Slovenia still running? That's why we're not here to argue.
Can I continue?
No. We need not argue on that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just stating a fact.
I know, but your basis is on theory, and this one
It's
is.
not a theory. I wrote a letter to Westinghouse.
You wrote a
I
letter.
complained.
Yeah.
He did not answer to me because I was trained as a nuclear inspector by PAC.
Yes.
I wrote a letter that what you have done to the steam generator, it will destroy, will produce accident. He did not reply to me.
They have reasons.
Huh?
They have reasons.
Because what I'm telling the truth, it is crowded.
Yeah.
The heat exchanger tube inside steam generator, wherein inside is the primary coolant, is radioactive, it will leak out, it will explode.
Okay.
That's why I'm passionate.
Yeah.
I make a complaint.
We
You did not answer.
will leave that to you, sir. And we're saying that.
Sorry, I'm protecting the Filipino.
Right. So are we. All right.
Oh.
So are we. And we're just saying that there's I'm sure there are some positions as why Westinghouse did not respond to your complaint or whatever. And there are some other experts that we could probably gather there. But this is not the venue for that to settle this score.
Yes.
What I'm just saying is there are reports that at this we cannot accept everything as one-sided. We have to open up to all, right? And I guess that's a fair game of understanding the
I have
argument.
to state the facts.
Right. And I'm just saying this is what we already found out from the others. Alright, at dito na po na magpatatapos itong programa nito at sana po ay ito po yung bibigyan ng inyong dagdag kaalaman patungkol dito sa Usapang Kuryente. Ito po yung lingkod, Toti Casiño at ating kasama po dito ang ating bisita, ang engineer na si Harry FREIRES. Maraming salamat po.